Did this work? Oh, I think it did. Oh, I don't know if he's there, though.
It did. He's there. He's chilling. He's watching a movie.
Is Ray Schaefer there? It's time, by the way, to take a look. It's a new segment I'm introducing called Take a Seat with Ray Schaefer.
Oh, man.
Hi, Ray. Can we hear? We can barely hear you there.
Can you hear me? Let me see if I need to turn this up here.
The volume is fine. It's just that you're far away from it. But where you are there in your Eames chair looks beautiful.
Thank you. I'm in my den. Welcome. I'm watching Days of Thunder back here. You guys have been talking about it so much.
That's awesome.
Well, that reminds me, I should get some photos ready on my phone. So you, by all means, you guys chat it out for a sec.
That's awesome. So when's the last time you'd seen that movie, Ray? I had never seen Days of Thunder before Jay and I talked about it a couple weeks ago.
I think the last time I saw it was in 1990 in the movie theater.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what do you think? How's it stack up there?
You know, this is actually the period of time that I kind of like NASCAR racing. I like the cars.
Yeah.
We're, very, very close to the variety was there. There was, that was, I think the body templates were all a little bit different, and the tracks were different. There's a piece floating around on YouTube right now about sort of the tracks that used to be NASCAR tracks like Dover, Delaware, and the things you see inside the movie here.
Right.
And then they're talking about the modern tracks and how much that's changed the game, I guess, in NASCAR. I haven't watched the film yet, but I plan on checking it out. But this movie reminded me of all that. So that's cool. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
That's really, really cool.
Kind of cool. So, yeah.
Ray, I have some photos here I'd like to pull up if that's all right. And then maybe you can talk. Maybe you can talk us through them.
Absolutely, all Days of Thunder inspired for sure. All right, so yeah.
Is this one okay?
Yeah, these pictures were back in 1987, and I've told the story before about how I got press passes so that I could get closer to the action and jump over the fence when I would go to the races, and I was writing for the SCCA regional magazine at the time, and I wanted to go to a karting school with a fellow that I worked with at a Chevrolet dealership of all places. And the go-kart school was going to be out past almost to the Indiana state border, over there on the Cincinnati part of Ohio. I'm not quite to Indianapolis, but along the way. And anyway, so the name of the school was called PM Karting, Performance Motorsports Karting. And I believe Mike Shank had something to do with it, who now is a sports car team owner and been pretty successful with that. Anyway, he had a karting school that was advertised in the back of Auto Week. And so I finally was going to get a chance to drive a racing machine. And so we signed up for this karting school, and I made sure to write them a letter because you couldn't send an email back in 1987. So just to date myself. So I wrote them a letter, and I said, hey, I do this writing for this for the local SCCA region newsletter, and I'm going to write a story about coming out to your karting school. And so they set up the date, and they said, that's fine. And then about a month before it's supposed to happen, they sent me a letter saying, hey, do you mind if you hold off on coming out for that date? We want to reschedule you. And I was like, okay, I guess. I'm really looking forward to coming out. They're like, don't worry, it'll be worth your wait. We promise. And so we're like, okay, whatever. 17-year-old me was just dying to get into a go-kart at that point, so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
So I guess this already long story short now at this point.
We'll take it. I'm in. I'm already in.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, did we lose him? Was that it? Well, at least it's a beautiful headshot, Ray Shaver. There you are. You're back.
Did I freeze?
Yeah, he's back.
But you were very handsome.
He's back.
Just keep smiling. So, I don't know what part of that we missed, but
it was a perfect segue. You said to make a long story short, but we're in. We're loving every bit of it.
All right, so we're waiting for all the other classmates to show up, and they little by little they start coming in. I think there was maybe about 10 of us there. That was as big as the class was going to be. And finally, a Range Rover rolls up, and Mimi Rogers gets out of one door, and Tom Cruise climbs out of the other. And That's
The
why
Mimi
they
years.
rescheduled. Yeah, they rescheduled the school for us because they knew I was going to be writing a piece about it. Just figured it'd be better publicity to have a Top Gun in the school like that. And so those pictures are the day that we had with Tom Cruise in our class at the karting school. And so that was 1987. They were taking a break from filming Rain Man down in Cincinnati, I believe it was, right?
Yes, actually.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Down in that area, yeah. And so those pictures are from that day. And then, of course, a few years later, Days of Thunder comes out, the movie that I'm looking at over my shoulder here. And so, you know, I'm not saying that I am the basis for Cole Trickle, but
But you're the basis for Cole Trickle.
But can we say like this? This is Ray Schaefer karting over here. Look at this guy, number
That's
3,
so cool.
Yeah.
the enforcer.
Do you
Or
age?
what was
do you
what was
age
Earnhardt?
at all, Ray?
Intimidator.
Like seriously, do you age at all?
Intimidator. That's right.
Intimidator. Yeah.
That's so cool.
You're very kind. Anyway, so that was fun. That was a good day.
It was so funny for everybody else at home. We were, you know, Ray's very nice to watch what we put out, and he watched the episodes where Tori and I were talking about Days of Thunder, and then all of a sudden I start getting text bombed by Ray Schaefer going, "Hey, I got a story for you. You want to talk about Days of Thunder?" And here he is with Tom Cruise on the track.
That's so cool. That's really
stuff.
cool.
How have you been, Ray Schaefer? How are things with Porsche Classic while you know, I would imagine can't spend that much time at Porsche Classic?
No, that's right. We're all working from home. Those of us that don't work in the shop on the cars, and then of course the restoration is only a portion of what Porsche Classic does. So for the office workers, the rest of us, we're all working from home, and probably will be for some time longer. The PEC is open for people with appointments for drive experiences, but the office portion is still closed. So we're working from home, and so. You know, I used to go to a lot of events. We get to see you guys out there. And of course, we missed that.
Yeah.
And gosh, back in April now, Cam Ingram called me up and he said, "Boy, you know, I really miss seeing everybody in our community and what have you. We had to do like an Instagram live together, and just, you know, that way we can say hi to everybody, kind of thing. You want to do that with me?" And so I said, "Yeah, that sounds like a good time. It's a good time." So we kind of went through this whole thing about. Well, let's do it like Thursday afternoon or something like that. I'm like, oh, people are supposed to be working when they're at home. They're not supposed to be on the internet. So unless you're working. So I said, why don't we do it on Saturday morning when you typically would be going to Cars and Coffee, because we still weren't even doing that back in April. And so so we got together on the idea of doing it at 11 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, because then everybody on the West Coast could have a cup of coffee with us as well. It'd be a little bit like our second or third cup here on the East Coast, but then you guys just waking up could join in. And so we started doing that. Yeah, we started doing that. It was a lot of fun to stay in touch with everybody. We were just picking random topics to talk about around Porsche, and we decided to talk about Le Mans races. And
but specifically, in case anybody doesn't know, we're talking about the Fresh-Brewed and Air-Cooled series that started as a small little idea that Ray Schaefer just gave you the backstory for. Now it is a wonderful video series you can check out on YouTube, and I believe it's going to be a podcast as well. Is that correct? Or it is a podcast?
Well, it's a video podcast, I would guess you'd call it. But yeah, we need to do it in audio only. That way, if people want to listen in, if you're driving along or whatever, then it's possible to do that. So we'll start to convert them and put them over like that. But, you know, it really came from that Le Mans discussion we were having on Instagram. Stefan Ortelli, who I hadn't had the pleasure of meeting yet, he commented about the conversation that we had and a picture that I put up. And so I said, boy, it'd be great to talk with you about it. Would you ever consider doing the Instagram Live with us? And he said, yeah, absolutely. And so the day before we were going to do it, we found out you can't have 3 people on an Instagram Live. So it became a real scramble to figure out what to do. And that's
how did you work around that then? Because you got it. We all see it.
Yeah, well, it's a Zoom. That's a recorded Zoom meeting, basically, is what it is. So we had to stop doing the Instagram Lives, other than we use them really as a way to introduce the recorded portion that we put out on the YouTube channel at 11:30. so we started just transitioning that way to it. And then that's when we kind of really came up with the theme, because my day job and Cam's day job both require that, you know, we go down deep tracks of Porsche history and heritage. And so we just figured, you know what, it's going to be, this is not going to be for everybody, because most people don't have the patience or maybe even the interest for what we're talking about. But if you do, then you really want to be in on it. And so it's really all about the quality of that deep tracks conversation. And, you know, that's really more of a musical term instead of the hit song maybe that's on the record. It's the one that's deeper down on the vinyl tracks. And so we talk about things that are really obscure and maybe parts that you don't know about. Like recently we did the Peter Stevens, and Tori watched that last weekend.
Which was amazing, by the way. That was just, I was blown away by everything that guy said. I mean, I knew a fraction of like the stuff that he was talking about, and he starts pulling out all these facts. I was like, what? Like,
yeah, amazing.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Well, you know, Peter Stevens is not really a name that you would associate with Porsche. And of course, even with my experience around Porsche, I never really associated with him with Porsche either, because he wasn't a Porsche designer.
Right.
But he was, as I've come to find out in our small community, was introduced to Peter and quickly learned that he was one of the co-founders of GTI Engineering, or Richard Lloyd Racing.
Which was amazing. I didn't know that either.
Yeah, and then, you know, they did so much aerodynamic work and engineering development work with the privateer Porsches that they were running. And of course, being a designer as well, he was deeply involved in the graphics packages of not only the Porsche cars that they were running, but other race cars like the Parmalat Brabham Formula One car.
Right.
I'm sorry, the Olivetti. I think it was Olivetti Parmalat. They had he came up with the Brabham Formula One logo.
Right.
I mean,
gosh, McLarens. I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff. I was like, wow, I had no idea. I mean, some really, really cool, you know, side tangents and stuff. I mean, I can't even. He probably could have talked for 6 hours, and you wouldn't have heard a story twice. He was just such a fascinating guy to listen to. I could have listened to him for another 3 hours easily, you know.
How about the racing stories about Le Mans, their experience at Le Mans with the car and everything?
Nuts. Well, I love how old school it was back then, because a lot of those stories wouldn't happen nowadays. But when they were like, you know, talking about how, was it Andretti wasn't going to be able to run the car because of the oil cooler or something being mounted on the back, and they're like, don't go anywhere. You're just stay here. I'm not telling you, but you're, you know, it's great. Fantastic.
Yeah, that sounds like one of your Ken Miles stories.
Yeah. It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so the link is in my Instagram bio, and of course the video is on YouTube, on the Road Scholars page, and also on Road Scholars website. But yeah, we'll eventually start to transition those over to audio as well, so folks can listen. But we're just having a great time doing it, because we really want to dig deep and find those stories like the ones that Peter Stevens gave us. We talked with Tony Hatter, the show before that, the designer from Porsche, who was responsible for the 993 and the Carrera GT, among other things. And
oh, wow.
Just amazing. Yeah. John Oates,
your Rolodex is amazing, because you get the guests you get are just unreal, man. I mean, and it's cool because it seems like each guest that you interview tends to lead to someone else. It's almost like these weird like stepping stones. Like, oh, I've got a guy that would be good for this, and let me just throw his name out. You know, it's so cool how organically this all happens, but it seems to be working out. The universe wants this to happen. So I love it, man. It's cool.
You heard him, Ray Schaefer. You heard him. I did not prep him for that.
This is all off the cuff, my friend. Yeah,
Something, you know, before you joined us. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was done.
It's tough with three. Before you joined us, we were just complimenting Tori's little setup there. What Tori and I have been talking about, you and Cam, we have watched the progression of you guys starting this as a little idea to, we're going to take this a little more seriously and a little more seriously and a little more seriously. Oh, we have a little more backdrop. Oh, we got a nice microphone. Oh, you got a new light.
Yeah, it's great.
All the different things. Is this the type of thing that you could see yourself doing long term?
I tell you what, I really enjoy doing it. It is fun how it's progressed. And I mean, we do it already now in the live version when we go to the events and meet everybody. We can't do that right now. So this makes sense to get together how we can. Technology allows us to do this right now. So why not? And if it continues after that, yeah, I really do enjoy it. I mean, you set the stage for it, Jay, no question. I mean, you're years you're years ahead of us. And look at the background where you're sitting and the work that you put into that. I mean, this is my den. This is not a set right here. The only thing I can lay claim to being different in this is Tori's recommendation for this little ring light that I have right here, which when I go to do my makeup later, I'll be able to.
You do look very nice.
Get those shiny spots, Ray.
It does. It helps with the shine for sure.
Yeah, right. I definitely got to watch that. Want to watch that. But
I just think it's great. I think it's great. We're both so proud of you. If anything, I'm totally jealous because I'm like, wow, look at him. He's so good, so quick. He's gotten some lessons I'm still struggling with.
Yeah. You and Cam have just an uncanny chemistry as well. I mean, even his background, man, he's stepped up his game. His background the other day looked amazing on the Peter Stevens show. It was just like, man, every week it's just something better, and it just makes you want to keep coming back for more. I love it.
Well, really, you guys inspire us. I tell you, really do.
Was the Peter Stevens the one where Cam had a nice little silver Porsche up on the shelf that was new that I hadn't seen previously? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I noticed it also.
Really good. Yeah, it was great.
That's the Ray Barth. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, you inspire us, and the guests inspire you too. I mean, really, you have these amazing people coming on. It's really, you want to represent them well, and that's where our excitement comes from in doing that.
100%. 100%. Well, we love you, Ray Schaeffer. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Love you guys too. Thank you so much for checking in with me and allowing the satellite feed to come in here. However we did that, it's pretty amazing.
It's incredible, right?
We just
beamed it right over.
There's a big truck right outside my window here. Yeah, there's a big satellite truck.
The CNN truck, right?
Yep. Give me the bird.
That's great.
All right. Well, Ray Schaeffer from Porsche Classic. Follow him on. Hang on. I've got a card for that. My God, do I ever have a card for that? Let me see what I did with it.
You've got to read the card.
Where's the card for that? How did I lose the card for that? Here it is. It's the last card. It's always the last card. If not already, please consider following Ray Schaeffer for your backstage pass to Porsche, brand heritage, and travel-related material. That's ray.schaeffer. SHAFFER. We love you, Ray Schaeffer.
Love you guys, too.
Talk to you soon.
Bye, Ray.
Have a great show.